Welcome to the Girlfriend God Podcast, a podcast in search of and in service to the divine feminine, bringing you an equal mix of academic research and emotional spiritual experience. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. If you enjoy this podcast, share it with your friends, rate and review it if you're listening on a streaming platform. Follow on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Now, let's get in the flow. Okay. Oh, good morning and welcome to the Girlfriend God Podcast. Today, in the hot seat, I've got the illustrious Princess, I'm going to screw up this pronunciation likely, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Princess O'Nika Auguste. Is that correct?
It's Auguste. You got the middle name right, but it's Auguste. Princess O'Nika Auguste.
Okay. Princess O'Nika Auguste. I was close. I did pretty well. She is a Saint-Lucian feminist writer, theologian, and historian. She has degrees in literature, history, and religion. She also has certification in public history, ancient history, medieval history, and medieval religion. Her research focuses on gender, violence, sexuality, and slavery in sacred texts and historical context. Princess's work has been featured on Pop Culture and Theology, Christian Feminist Today, LAPP Brand Magazine, and Intersect Antigua. She is a frequent contributor to the popular Culture Dialogue series on YouTube, and you can follow her on Instagram, Twitter at theologian, and there's a whole bunch of other information about her and where you can find her work and where you can subscribe to her. All of that is in the show notes. So, Princess, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So I have to ask, is Princess some sort of Caribbean title or is it your actual name?
It's my actual name, actually. When I was a baby, my father decided to name me Princess. So
Okay. I had to ask that because I wasn't sure. You know what I mean? I don't know a lot about the Caribbean. So I thought, I wonder if she is actually some sort of Caribbean royalty. Although in my eyes, you are some sort of Caribbean spiritual royalty, to be sure. I mean, that's an impressive resume that I just read. And to me, you look fairly young. So I'm not sure when you had the time to do all of those things that I just that I just listed.
I'm going to ask you, how young do you think I am?
I would, and I'm really bad at this, so I would guess that you were in your 30s.
Yes, I'm exactly in my 30s.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So, did you start going to school when you were like 5, or were you in college when you were 13, or how did all that happen?
No. Actually, I went to university when I was 21. I was 21 and I graduated 21, 22. I graduated in 3 years instead of 4 years. And then I just went straight to get my 2 masters and the certification along with it. And I never stopped learning. So I kept getting certifications. And in Saint-Lucian, you graduate with the age you normally graduate from high school, secondary school is 15, 16, 17.
Oh, okay.
You get students, teenagers who are 18 years old who graduate, but a lot of the students in the Caribbean, they graduate around between 15 and 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since I really don't know anything. I mean, you're familiar with my podcast, so I know a lot of things about a lot of different things. And I know a lot about a lot of goddesses from a lot of different cultures, but sadly, I am lacking in my knowledge of Caribbean culture. So, can you give me like a brief overview of, I guess, both modern and ancient Caribbean goddess culture? Like, what does that look like in kind of an ancient context, as opposed to what that looks like today? Like, is goddess culture prevalent in the Caribbean today?
Well, the Caribbean is mostly a Christian.
Right, as it is everywhere else, right?
Yeah, it's a much predominantly Christian region. Although in certain islands like Haiti, there is voodoo, and in Saint Lucia, there we have a religion called African centric religion called Kele, which is similar to the Yoruba religion, and they worship the Osharas or like Shango. And then, of course, we have the Obia spiritual system in St. Lucia. And then, of course, if you go to places like Trinidad and Jamaica and other islands, you get a lot of people who are Hindus and Muslims. And in St. Lucia, there is a small community of Hindus and Muslims. The Hindus came, of course, with some of the East Indians from India who came to St. Lucia as indentured servants after the slave trade was ended. Slavery was ended in 1834. Most of them converted to Christianity, but a few of them stayed the native religion of Hinduism. And then a lot of immigrants from India who have arrived in St. Lucia are practicing Hindus. And then we have a small sector of Muslims.
Okay. So tell me
St.
about
Lucia
what
is
it was like.
predominantly Catholic, though.
Right, right. But it wasn't always that way, I'm guessing.
Yeah, because we had our indigenous people, the Kalingo and the Taino.
So, what was the predominant goddess culture in ancient history of the Caribbean?
Well, if we from my research, the Kalingo or the island Caribs, that's the colonizers' words for them. Island Caribs didn't have female goddesses per se, but the Taino, the Araks, did have a female goddess, and her name was, well, she's not they would not call it goddess, they would call it Zemi, a
Okay,
Zemi, an ancestral spirit or deity.
okay,
And so she is the mother goddess. She is she's creator of, she's a fertility goddess, and she is a creation goddess, or Zemi.
okay,
But you will get her a lot of information about her from the Greater Antilles, like Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, because the they had more Tainos than Saint Lucia at the time.
okay. So, how do you, well, I guess because we didn't talk about this before we scheduled our recording. Like, where are your, I mean, I know a little bit about you by following your content, which is how I find all the people that I asked to come on the show in the first place. But let's talk a little bit about what your personal beliefs are within that context. Like, do you uh, work with, pray to, worship a goddess? What does that practice look like in your daily life? Do you belong to a community of people who are practicing such things in the Caribbean in secret? Is there some sort of secret sisterhood? What does that look like in your life in the Caribbean?
Well, my personal life, I was raised Roman Catholic, And
Weren't we
so,
all?
yeah, well, I mean, if you in other parts of if you're in other parts of the world or in other parts of Saint Lucia, you probably be a Protestant, Seventh-day Adventist, or
Right, right.
I was I was raised Roman Catholic.
I was raised Catholic too, so I can relate to that experience.
And I found it, I always found it weird that the Catholicism places so much emphasis on the Blessed Virgin Mother, but it's still a very patriarchal religion
Right.
in a lot of its doctrine.
But that's what goddess worshippers are drawn to, those of us who were raised Catholic. I've had a lot of people on the show, and we always talk about how we couldn't get with Jesus, but we were fascinated with the Virgin Mary.
Yes, I don't mind Jesus per se.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I don't mind him per se, but I'm more interested in his mother. I do, if I don't say if I don't say a prayer to Jesus, I basically say my Hail Marys or say whatever prayers or honors I have to Mary. But then my theology is evolving because I want to get away from just Mary and go into other goddesses. But
Right.
I haven't found it yet in Saint Lucia, or I haven't really seen anything popping up in the Caribbean. But it's although in Trinidad, because of they have a large representation of Hindus, there is Hindus, the worship of Kali is very prevalent in Trinidad.
Yes.
And then you have the Haitian deities in Haiti. So
I had so the season finale last season and season 2 was an episode about the Virgin Mary and how she was really just a kind of a conglomeration of, the conquered goddesses, the conquered pre-Roman goddesses, and there's so much symbolism associated with Mary that were associated with goddesses that came before her. Like I think we talked about how doves are always associated with Mary, but doves were actually associated with Inanna.
or Isis or Aphrodite.
Right. So in your studies of various theologies, surely you've seen that there are common themes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where do you think your path is headed?
My path is moving away from Christianity
Of
and
course.
more into goddess worship, depending on which goddess or how many goddesses. It just depends on how my theology evolves.
Do you find it hard to move from the intellectual into the spiritual?
Yes, I do. I do. Even as when I was a fully practicing Catholic, it was really hard to do that. But then again, Catholicism, even though the religion, the denomination is patriarchal, it is known for its intellectual academics, a lot of
Right.
science. Yes. So, and then I felt like if I had to remain Catholic, I felt that I could combine the intellectual with the mystery.
Okay. So what about so it sounds like you're kind of in the search now,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean,
Yes.
is that accurate?
Yes, I'm in the search.
You're in the search. Okay. I love talking to people in the search.
But I want to talk about even though that there aren't a lot of goddesses in Caribbean folklore, we have a lot of female spirits and deities. Spirit.
Yes, and I found that in some other cultures too. They weren't necessarily goddesses, but they were part of their mythology and folklore.
Yes.
So, okay, tell me about that.
So we have one called the Laja Bless. She is a woman, a deity or a spirit that is present in places like Trinidad, Saint Lucia, Dominica, Martinique, Guadeloupe, in places that were once French colonies or are now overseas French department, overseas departments of French overseas territories like and her mythology varies somewhat between the two, between the islands. So in some mythology, she is a beautiful white woman, and she has a dressing 19th century fashion, and she has a cow foot. And it says that either she made a deal with the devil, or because she was hurt by a man, she made too many deals with the devil and became this larger blessed. Some of the stories say that her beauty is just a mirage or illusion, and she usually has a face of a corpse.
That's a common trope. I've seen that in other folklore.
And then the thing about it, she doesn't go, a lot of the tales and folklore about her, she doesn't just go after evil men, evil people. It's usually she's usually like men that wants to sleep with her, or that these men want to have cheated on their wives or girlfriends.
Okay.
In some folklore, she is a biracial woman. Others, she is a Black woman. So it just depends on which island. In Saint Lucia, we know as a white woman, but I think in Trinidad, she's a biracial woman.
Interesting. Why? Just because of the different groups of people that the folklore is filtered through?
Yes.
Okay.
And some of the legend says that when she lures these men, she just leaves them in the forest and they can't find their way and they die, or she leads them to a river or somewhere and they drown and die. So she doesn't kill them directly.
Awesome.
And the only way to escape her is if you turn your shirt around wrong side.
Interesting.
If you realize it's a larger bliss that has lowered you, you turn your shirt wrong side. So my thing about it, my theory about this larger bliss, because it's mostly found, it seems that that folklore started in the 19th century, 18th century French territories with the French and colonizing or whatever. So I figured that there are some women or a different type of women who were too independent for these men, and they decided, okay, she's too independent, so let's make this woman this monstrous creature.
Right. That sounds accurate, right?
That's my theory. Accurate.
I mean, that would fit with kind of, I mean, we see the same when we look at history, we see the same thing happen over and over when male power overtakes a religion or a theology or spiritual system where women are dominant. Then the female, whether they're goddesses or deities or spirits or sprites or minads or whatever, whatever they are, then they either become demonized, right, as in this case, or they get married off, right, or they just get demoted, right? Then they're somebody's underling or somebody's servant or somebody's assistant or you know what I mean? That's what happens. So I think your theory is absolutely correct. And it's also a way to then to let men off the hook, right, for their responsibility.
Yeah.
So do you have other examples?
Oh yes, I have a few.
Okay, good.
I have Mama Glow or Mama de Glow, or as she's known in the Spanish Caribbean, Mama Agua. And she is not evil though. I haven't heard any legends of tales about her being evil, but she is
Right.
this woman. She's she's a half woman, half serpent. She's a Naja, like a Naja, Naja, like a Naja, and she has snakes in her hair.
Well, we
Her
love
hair is
snakes.
snakes. Yeah,
We
like
love snakes. We talk about snakes a lot on this show too.
Medusa, and she has a golden comb, and she is the protector of river animals, and she lives near the rivers and oceans. However, well, not however, she's married to this male spirit in Saint-Lucia in Trinidad. She's married to this male spirit called Papa Bois, who is the father of the forest, father of the forest, is protector of the forest. So there isn't anything in all the legends I've read about her, there isn't anything evil about her. But she's an interesting deity or spirit because she is one of she's a deity or spirit that is across almost all the Caribbean islands, but she's just called different names.
It makes sense to me that there would be feminine deities shared by all of them, and that they would have to do with water.
Yes.
Right? That makes, that's logical. Okay. Who else?
I want to talk about Mama Go a little more too.
Okay.
She is, I think, my theory is that she's a mixture of Hindu mythology, European mythology, and African mythology, which shows which with all the islands having her calling different names makes sense. And because the Naja is in Hinduism over in India, they're half human and half serpent.
Right.
And also protector of the forests and rivers and lakes. And then in Europe, there is this female deity that is associated with the forest. I forgot her name now. I just her name, but she is half serpent, half woman. And then in Africa, you have the same thing. So when all three ethnic groups met, that mythology came together, and we got the Caribbean version of mythology. But that's my theory. So then we have one called the Sukuyo.
Hey, I
She's very,
read about this one, I think.
you did? What do you know about her?
I don't remember. Please don't quiz me.
I just
Just
want
tell
to
me.
so she's she's like a vampire kind of thing.
Like a
But she
succubus, right?
no, that's a mashimwe.
Okay.
We have different.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So a sukayo is she is prevalent in Dominica, Saint-Lucia, Trinidad, Guadeloupe. This is all former French colonies and French overseas territories. It's part of our folklore. And she's even in Louisiana,
Oh, okay.
again, because of the French influence.
Right.
So a sukio is a shape shifter. Her human body, she appears to be this old, reclusive woman. And by day and by night, she strips her skin and puts on a mortar. Well, it's kind of she in her true form, she's like a fireball. And she flies across the sky in search of her victim. And she enters the person's house and she sucks their blood. So she's kind of like a vampire, kind of, but she's not really a vampire, but
Right. She just kind of behaves like one.
yes. But she's a shape shifter. And if you see any old woman out living alone that's reclusive and don't have no family and everything, most people believe that these old women are sukoyas.
Mm.
And how can you find her? Well, how can you know that she's one? Well, you can capture the suki, you can try to find if you suspect this old woman next door is a sukayo, you have to find her skin or burn it or hide it. And when you hide it or burn it and she can't find her skin, you will know who the Sukuyo is.
Okay. What happens?
I can't remember the exact legend, but I think because she couldn't, if you burn the skin, that just makes her disappear. Or
Oh.
or if she cannot find her skin, she has nowhere to go. But
So what's her purpose?
her purpose is to suck people's blood.
Okay. But what does
Hence why
she get out of that? Is that what keeps her alive?
I would think so. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So, like you were saying, I mean, if you look at enough mythology, we see the same tropes over and over again, right? We see the same symbols, we see the same archetypes, right? This I can't think of the word I was going to use. This oh well, I don't know what word I was going to use. No, this I don't know, doesn't matter. But anyway, so let me ask you this. I don't know how much of my show that you've listened to, but I have this diamond head god theory because I have been calling myself for a while now a monotheist because I believe I have what I call the diamond head god theory. And I want to know if you're on board with that or not.
The what? The diamond?
I call it the diamond head god
Mm-hmm.
theory. And what I mean by that is I have worked with, and when I say worked with, I mean pray, meditate, witchcraft. I've had personal gnosis, mystical experiences, blah, 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 blah. and I'm also intimately familiar with because I've done academic research. I know my stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I've worked with many different goddesses from many different cultures, some my own from my ancestry and my lineage, some not. But I believe that the goddess, who I believe is primordial and primeval and is the creatrix of everything, that all of those goddesses that I've worked with are aspects, are facets of her. That's why I call her the diamond head, right? Because you know how diamond has facets. So what do you think about that? Because at the end of the day, what that means is really I'm monotheistic.
Well, you can say that you are monotheistic, but you are a different kind of monotheistic. Like you believe that
I believe in a singular source.
you
So
believe in a single source, but
I'm an
but you
I'm
believe,
an I'm an essential monotheistic.
but then you believe that they're all the goddesses are different aspects of these goddesses.
Yes.
But you want to get Hinduism, certain aspects of Hinduism look like that.
Yes. I know that. I get that.
Yeah. Me personally, I'm not sure. It still goes back to my intellectual part. Is
Right.
that in the Bible, they say that when God created the earth and men and everything, or God, the goddess, whoever, they say that they say they. So that means that there is more than one deity over there. So that there might be more than one deity.
I don't think so.
Then okay, then we get into the acts of pronouns then. So
I
if there is
mean, okay, so here's my intellectually, I understand that this goddess who I love and serve and pray to and worship, intellectually, I know that that is a non-physical being that has no gender. I get that. But I think it's important to feminize that because we have been denied that for so long. And
I
the
agree.
and the time has come in our human history to correct that because the patriarchy did do what it did to religion.
I agree with you. What I'm saying is that it's not just one female god. I believe there were more than one.
Maybe.
That's what
I
I'm
mean, I'll
saying.
grant you that. I'll give you a maybe because
Yeah.
there are things that are beyond our knowing. There are things that are beyond our human brain to understand, right? Because at the end of the day, we're still just humans, and
Yes.
our brain capacity can only understand so much. There are things in Goddess's world that we just can't understand just because we live in the material plane,
That's true.
right? At least that's what I believe.
Well, I'm more of going to be a worshiper of more than one goddess. That's when I believe there's more than one goddess.
Okay. And that's okay.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
the
okay.
beauty of spirituality. Everybody gets to believe what they want. As long as it's working for you,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? To each their own.
But I do want to talk about another goddess in the Yoruba religion, which is
Okay.
in all of the Caribbean places in Santa Marina and all these other African retention
Sure,
religions.
sure.
Oshan, who's the Oshura of love and fertility and sexuality and water and purity. She's married to Shango, the thunder god.
And this is Oshun, Oshun.
Yes.
This one I've heard of.
And there's Oya. Oya, she is a warrior goddess. And she does she is also married to Shango, but Oshan is his favorite wife. And but
Well, if you're going to be a wife, at least be the favorite, right?
she is the goddess of Oshar. Oshar. She is not a god. They don't call her them goddesses. They are
Right.
Oshars. She's a Oshar, a warrior Oshar, and she's associated with thunder and lightning.
Cool.
And imagine that Zeus in Greek mythology, Odin in Norse mythology is associated with thunder and lightning and the sky, but
Right.
this African retention religion, she is the one that is the thunder and lightning that is associated with.
I think a goddess should be associated with thunder and lightning. How about you?
Yeah, yes, I agree with that.
But on the other hand, men are angry.
No, we can be angry too, and there's
We
nothing
can be
wrong.
angry, but I think men are more angry in general. Except not right now. We're pretty angry.
Yes.
And rightfully so.
But I don't think thunder and lightning are necessarily bad things.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's just another expression of energy.
Mm-hmm. And then there's Yama, Yama. She is the Yobia goddess of the ocean, and she's depicted as a mermaid.
You're going to have to email me how to spell all of these.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
So that I can put them in the show notes, because I guarantee you that people that are listening to this are going to want to look things up and they're going to have no idea how to spell them, just as I do. I want to look up these feminine deities and have no idea how to spell them.
So we have these, and then we do have mermaids in the Caribbean, but mostly they are focused in Tobago, the island of Tobago. You know, Trinidad and Tobago is a twin island republic. So Tobago, they of course obviously are half women, half fish, and live of course in the sea, but they don't, how you call it, they're not a danger to people.
Right.
And they,
as in some mythology, they're evil, or they are out to destroy men or kill men or whatever, like the sirens.
Yes, the sirens were not originally mermaids. They are fish. They were birds.
Right.
And they do take people underwater, but they don't drown them. The people live underwater with them.
Right. You're really low. You're really low on the screen.
Oh, sorry.
That's better.
And we have fairy maidens in the Caribbean. They are like water spirits. They're not mermaids, but they are water spirits, and they live in caves with water, rivers, ponds.
So they're like forest sprites, but in the water.
Yes.
What do they do? Like, what's their purpose?
Well, they're there to mate with the mermaid. The mermen usually mate with them.
Okay.
Yes. And then of course, we have, I said Atabe, which is a Tenno goddess of fertility. She is a mother goddess, and when they translate her into current mythology, she's associated with Enya, Aphrodite, and Rhea, all the European goddesses of fertility and love.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few.
There's quite a few goddesses and female spirits
in the Caribbean. Well, that's
Yes.
cool. That's cool. So, do you see that? Is there, first of all, how long have you been in the Caribbean? Were you born there?
I was born in Saint Lucia. I've been there, I mean, that's my home,
So you've been
Caribbean.
there your whole life.
Yes. Except for
So,
a different time period where I was away at college, at
right,
university.
right. Um, so have you seen the general, spiritual vibe there change over the years?
I wouldn't say it's changed over the years. It's still very predominantly Christian, and it's still very predominantly, like, if you talk about Obia or Santeria or voodoo, they'll think that it's evil.
Yeah.
And so, although in recent years, I've seen a lot of people who have, it's in St. Lucia, what the census says that there's a growing a number of people who don't identify with a spiritual or religion.
Right. And that's a trend globally. More and more people are identifying as other, right? When you fill out those questionnaires of, Christian, Jewish, pagan, Hindu, whatever, they're checking the box that says other, or people are identifying as atheists. Now, I think it's good news that people are leaving the church in droves, but I don't know that it's good news that people that identify as atheists are statistically higher than they've ever been
Well,
before.
I don't necessarily believe that those people identify as atheists, but because on our census it says non-religions or non-spiritual. That doesn't necessarily mean that they don't believe in a higher power. That just doesn't.
Right, right. I think that a lot of people that say that they're atheists are really just agnostic,
Yeah.
Because people are looking for something. I think the fundamental idea of, like you said, a higher power is kind of inherent in everyone. Like that we're born with that. That's what I believe.
Yes.
So, what time is it? All right, it's 10:52. Anything else you're dying to talk about?
Well, I'm writing a companion booklet for this, so
Okay.
we'll get more.
Okay. Good. I like having people on the show more than once. So once you've written that,
Mhm.
you can come back and we can talk about that.
Okay.
Um, but it's been really interesting to hear about. Like I said, this is just an area of the world that I guess I just haven't gotten to yet, right? I mean, I only have so much time, but I'm always interested in, well, and I bet that because St. Lucia is also like tourists come to St. Lucia, right?
Yes, for honeymoon, weddings, we just had our Saint Lucia Jazz Festival, and
Oh,
so
there's a
people,
St. Lucia Jazz Festival. Like, is that a big thing? Do people come from all over the world?
yes, that is a big thing, major big thing in
Okay.
Saint Lucia.
So I bet there are a small segment of tourists that look for the voodoo aspect of St. Lucia when they're there.
Well, we don't. Our religious spirit, African retention religions are not voodoo. That's Haitian. You'll get that if there should be people who practice voodoo because they're Haitians in Saint Lucia. But
Right.
our spiritual aspects is not our spiritual aspect, but our African retention spiritual aspects are Obia and Kele. Although
So,
I don't know if anybody practices Kele anymore because everyone have spoken to, what I've spoken to said that it was going on strong until around the 70s and 80s. And then the government, the Catholic Church, with the help of the government, banned it, and it died out. Although I've been told that people they were trying to remerge it, but nothing. That was before COVID, but I haven't heard anything.
I was going to say, so are you interested in that, in reviving that spirituality in St. Lucia?
Well, they are more focused on the male Yobia gods.
Well, that's because they don't have someone like you at the meetings going, hey, now, what about this? I mean,
True.
isn't that how we make change? Is people like us get involved in things like that and say, now, wait a minute.
I agree.
We have to be the change makers, because if not us, then who? Right?
We have to be the change. It's just that I haven't heard anything about meetings or anything like that. I think it was died out before I was born or something. So
I was talking to someone earlier today, and I asked them about the future of feminist spirituality. And she essentially said, let's not talk about that anymore, because we've been talking about that for decades.
yes.
You know, essentially saying the time is, it's time to fucking do something,
Yes.
rather than talking about it. And I agree with that. You know, I mean, and I'm trying to do my part. You know, I've got a couple things that I haven't made public yet, but I will soon. And I started the Priestess at the Altar series, and I'm hoping that at least brings some community. But yeah, we have to start taking some, and I'm old, you're young. You know what I mean? So it's got to be you. It's got to be you and the generation after you, because I'm too old, and those like our foremothers, they're starting to die because they're in their 80s and 90s. People like in the generation of like the Kathy Jones and Mary Daly and Starhawk and all those people, they're fucking dying.
Williams.
Yeah, they're all dying. So they're either dead or they're dying, or they're of dying age. So yeah, so we have to kind of stop theorizing and do something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So get cracking, princess.
I will. Hopefully my booklet will be helping that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've enjoyed talking to you today. It's not as lively as I anticipated, but I think we're both kind of mellow. Right? But no, we're both kind of, I feel that like we're both like our energy is kind of mellow. Feels like a Sunday morning, even though it's a Tuesday morning.
Yes, that's how it feels.
But that's good. I mean, we can't be high energy all the time, right? It's good. I'm working on a new poem. That's probably a good space for me to be in. That's what I'm going to do when I'm done with you.
I don't remember if you do have music added to the podcast. That would probably liven it up.
Yeah, not usually. Maybe I will for this one. Maybe I'll have like a slow jazz beat underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not lively.
Oh, that's okay. Like I said, I'm usually a little more in your face. But no, it's good. It's good. I like it. I like it. Like I said, I've enjoyed talking to you. I wasn't sure what to expect, and I was a little intimidated when I read that resume. So,
well, hopefully I'll get into a PhD program with that resume.
yes, I believe that you will, and I believe that you should. So, okay. So, Princess, thank you for coming back, because I forgot to ask the 3 questions I ask all the guests at the end of the show. So I appreciate making time for me this morning, and I'll just edit it back in where it should go at the end of the show. So the three questions are, one, the first question is, tell me something about yourself that people would be surprised to learn about you. Some fun fact that people would go, oh, really? Especially people that know you.
Ah.
It's a fun question, right?
I am a very boring person. So the fun fact would be I can read and understand several languages.
How many?
Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, Creole, Biblical Greek, about 6, but they vary through various levels.
Okay, right. Like some you're more skilled at than others. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what, 6?
Yeah.
6 languages.
Plus English.
Okay, so that's 7. So that's septilingual. Okay. Actually, what I find surprising is that you're boring. That's the surprising fact to me. Okay.
I'm boring because my favorite TV shows or movies to watch is usually science fiction.
Actually, that's the next question. What is your current favorite TV series or movie?
But right now, I'm in love with Queen Charlotte.
Oh, is that the Bridgerton one?
The prequel to Bridgerton, yes.
Okay, my wife's into that. I myself don't watch it, but okay, so that's your current fave. All right.
Yeah.
I saw you had posted about that. I saw that you've been posting about it on social media. So
My favorite movie. Oh, right now I'm watching The Flash also. I'm into comics there. I'm watching The Flash and I'm so sad that it's ending. So
okay.
Movies, I haven't watched movies in a while.
Oh, that's okay. It was a TV series or a movie, one or the other. And finally, the last question is, if your life were a movie, what would be the theme song on the soundtrack? What is the theme song of your life?
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. I'm trying to think. Because the theme song of my life would be, well, actually the soundtrack of my life. It would be it would not be a theme song, it would be a soundtrack of my life, and that would be Beyonce's Renaissance album. That would be my soundtrack of my life.
But you gotta pick one song from that album. Come on.
Oh my God. Pure Honey, Beyonce.
Pure Honey. Okay, so all right. Well, have a lovely Tuesday.
You too.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Like I said, I often have guests on more than once. And in this season, we're moving into some panel discussions. And I'll probably have more of that in the future. And those have been fun so far when I get 3 or 4 people together. And that gets a little crazy, a little high energy, because we do have some differences of opinion about things like monotheism. So, well, like I was telling you at the beginning of the show, I will send you everything when it's done, and I will talk with you soon. I'm going to click end, and you know how Zoom is, the screen's just going to go blank. So, but you'll be hearing from me soon. But Princess, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you for having me.
And until I talk to you again, may the love and the peace of the goddess be with you today.
And also you.
Okay. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching The Girlfriend God on YouTube. If you enjoy this podcast, the best way you can support it is to like it, follow it, leave comments on the page, rate it, review it, share it with your friends. But most of all, subscribe to this channel. And if you want more of The Girlfriend God, you can find The Girlfriend God on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks again for watching.